How's everybody? Good. We practiced inside today again in shells, and we always do two what I call Thursday practices before the first game. Try to limit some of the contact that we've been having and do more polish type technique work. Use the noise, which is always beneficial to us inside because we're in confined space, and make our offense operate and communicate, as well as the defensive players in no huddle have to communicate as well. So I thought things worked out okay. Today we'll be able to clean it up and repeat it tomorrow and do as much as we can to simulate game type situation. I really like the sort of attitude this team sort of has shown the right stuff in terms of how they've prepared for this season, the kind of habits, the kind of trust that they have in their training, and I think most of the time when you have that, good things happen. But what all teams have to to be able to do is when you go to play somebody who's really trying to beat you, can you keep your poise, can you keep your focus, can you execute under extreme circumstances, not get affected by what happened on the last play or when things don't go right for you. And I think that's always the test in the first game for any team. So I think we have a lot of players on this team that are committed to creating an identity, for the team. And I think we have enough good players that will play together, that supporting one another, that I have a lot of confidence in what this team can do, but we have to do it. One thing to report, Trey DePriest will have to sit out Saturday's game against West Virginia due to a minor NCAA infraction. He will be available to play, next week against Florida Atlantic, and this is a one-game deal. Don't have any other injuries to report or anything like that.
Hey, Coach. Two, and first related to what you just said, who steps into play where Trey's spot, and how do you handle that?
Right. Well, Trey was hurt a significant amount of, fall camp. All right, so we played with Ruben and Reggie, quite a bit. And they got a lot of reps because, Trey probably missed 8-10 practices. And it gave us a real opportunity to be able to prepare if the guy that was the signal caller that calls the defenses and all those types of things and gets the signals for the front wasn't there, because we needed to train somebody else to do that. And I think that even though this was not something that we anticipated, certainly it's something that we were able to prepare for because of his absence, because of his injured knee earlier in camp. So those two guys will do most of the playing. Dylan Lee and Sean Dion Hamilton, will be, the backup guys. We'll probably be in nickel or dime in this game, 70–80% of the time or more. So, there won't be a whole lot of regular.
And also, and this is just a technical thing, the offensive coordinator, Coach Kiffin, will he be up or down on the sidelines?
We're going to put him on the field. I always let the coordinators be where they want to be. But in this case, even though he felt more comfortable being in the press box, I think it's important that he is on the field. He has the greatest impact and effect on the players. I probably told this story before, but, when I was a coordinator, I always wanted to go in the press box. So all the time I was a coordinator at Michigan State, I was in the press box. You got all your papers laid out, all your calls, what you're going to do on third down, what you're going to do against 4 wideouts, 3 wideouts. You got it all laid out so you can call it. But you have no impact on the players, and you cannot make adjustments during the game as easily up there because you can't communicate. So when I went to work for Belichick in Cleveland as a defensive coordinator, he said, "You're not going to be in the press box, you're going to be on the field." I said, "Man, I can't call all this stuff. We got 52 different personnel groups and all these formations and all this stuff." I said, "I got it." He said, "You install it every day. You're the one that's the face of with the players all the time. You're the one that they listen to. You got to be on the field so you can make the adjustments and impact the players during the game. So I memorized my stuff. I could not pull the call sheet out and look at it during the game. I had to know what I was going to do on everything, but he was right. I had a much greater impact on the players and making adjustments in the game. And I've never made the offensive coordinator come down, but we are going to do it this year.
Two questions. Off the field, what have you thought about how Blake Sims has handled this entire competition since the spring from a maturity and leadership standpoint?
I think Blake has done great, but if you look at Blake's 5-year career here, he's played every position we've ever asked him to play. He's done whatever you ask him to do for the team. He's very well liked by all the players on the team. He's a really good guy to lead, and it really is not always about him. He really does a lot to serve other people and help other people. He sets a good example in how he works, and I think he's always put the team first, and I think he's certainly done that in this competition. And I'm very pleased with the way that he's managed this.
Given that, I think he has played maybe 3 different, or at least worked at 3 different positions here. Did he ever question that, or did he always just trust that was the coaching staff, it was best decision for the team?
I think he always trusted in the coaching staff, but I always think he wanted to play. Blake's a really, really good athlete. And we never tried to make him play other things. We tried to create a role for him somewhere on the team because we always thought he was one of the better athletes on the team. All right, so if he wasn't going to be the first or second quarterback, can he contribute to the team in another way? So that's pretty much and we do that with all players because I do think all players want to play. Quarterback's a unique position, but because Blake's such a good athlete, he was willing to do whatever he could do to help the team.
I want to ask about Leon Brown and Dominic Jackson, how they progressed back from their injuries, and how much will they be available this weekend?
They're both doing really well. They practice the whole time. Leon's to where he's getting all the reps. Dominic's probably getting 2/3 or 3/4 of the reps, with his group. And both guys are, ready to play in this game. Now I think it's going to be a little more challenging for Dominic, not from a physical standpoint, but just with the 2 weeks of practice that he missed, trying to get him sort of mentally where he needs to be with the offense with the limited experience because he wasn't here in the spring. Leon's been here for a year and a spring, and he also got back to practicing a little quicker than Dominic did. But I think both of those guys will make a significant contribution to the offensive line at some point in time.
Just asking about, is Eddie Jackson available this weekend, or is it being kind of precautionary at this point?
What does available mean? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm available to you guys right now, but that doesn't mean I'm ready to play in the game. But he's available. All right, we're going to take him on the trip. He's going to go out there. He's been getting reps in practice. And he's made a tremendous amount of progress, I would say, in the last, week or 10 days. And I wouldn't rule out the fact that he could play in this game, but I would rather go into the game thinking we would use him if we needed to, rather than pushing him in the game.
I was just wondering, how do you prepare freshmen for playing in their first game? I mean, is there anything with nerves or anything like that you see, or how do you get them ready for a real live game?
Well, I think the biggest thing, with the freshmen is, I talked about this a little bit the other day, is, there's a lot of anxiety that comes with not being certain about what you're expected to do, what you should do, or knowing what you need to do. And I think learning those things is what maturity is all about. And I think sometimes with young players, you just have to know that it's going to take a little bit of time for them to be able to mature. And I think you have to support them when they make mistakes and use those as opportunities for them to learn. And I think they learn really quickly, you know, that this is serious business. I need to prepare better. I need to focus more on what I need to do. But that all comes with experience. And with that knowledge and experience also comes confidence. But there's really no way to create it without putting guys in certain situations. And the next step for this team and our freshmen that have an opportunity to play, and the young players who aren't freshmen who haven't played, is to give them an opportunity to go out there and show where they are in their, you know, sort of progression toward that maturity that they need to play consistently. But I think that's kind of a part of growing up.
Along those same lines, when you have freshmen playing early and maybe making mistakes early in games, is it the mental aspect that's tougher, sort of, to get them to bounce back? You know, they make a mistake or they bust a coverage, and more than it is maybe a physical thing as they.
Well, I think when you talk about poise, you know, poise is your ability to stay focused on what you need to do right now. All right, so what just happened on the last play really doesn't matter. All right, I can't let it affect my next play. All right, and when guys are really good competitors, they're usually pretty emotional guys. So when guys get emotional, they usually don't make great decisions. And you know, you're going to sit here and say, well, everybody's always told me, get them fired up, get them emotional, get them ready to play. I think wanting to do well and being motivated to play well is different than being emotional. You know, emotional, sometimes you don't make good decisions. Sometimes you say things you shouldn't. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you know, that old phrase, see a little, see a lot. You don't see the right thing, so you don't see anything. And this is discipline and eye control. And all the things that make good players. Because if you don't have that, you can't react the right way to who you're blocking, who you're covering, or what gap you're supposed to be in. So it's just a part of, you know, that all young players have to go through, and we have to support them through it. But, you know, we wouldn't put guys in the game if they weren't ready to be in there. Now, we also don't expect them to play perfect. You know, I mean, there's a word called development, that nobody seems to want to ever acknowledge in sports anymore, especially you all. You want to make guys like stars before they ever play. And I like for them to play about 3 years, really good. Like, I mean, really good for 3 years. Then I think the guy's a good player because he proved that he can play well over time. And that really is what makes somebody a really good player. But if we have one freshman intercept one pass and run for a touchdown in this game, it will be like this guy's the greatest DB that ever played in the history of Alabama. All right? But he might have messed up 15 other plays. So just let him develop, please.
Last one, Mike. Just wondering, what have your conversations been like with Joe Manchin lately, and anybody else in West Virginia? What's the mood talking to them about this game?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I haven't talked to anybody except maybe some press people. But I talked to Joe Saturday or Sunday. You know, he took the bucket challenge and just wanted to make sure that he knew that he took the plunge. And he was in Wyoming, I think. You know, he's head of the federal land, whatever, or something. So he was out there kind of trying to figure that out. But he is coming to the game. He will be on the field. And he will be rooting for West Virginia. I can promise you that. All right, thank you.